Basically, the conspiracy theories are true. The Federal Reserve is thinking about creating a digital dollar cryptocurrency. So basically, I guess China is already starting experimenting with it, and almost like monkey see, monkey do. Then the U.S. has to do the same thing, except that China is a pretty totalitarian government, totalitarian society with the government. I mean, it's not about the individual at all. It's very collective, and that's how the government rules. It's the collective, the whatever the Chinese Communist Party wants. It's like they direct the country. The individual persons or their rights or their aspirations, that's not even secondary. That's probably tertiary. So they wrote a white paper examining what the digital dollar the crypto dollar would look like. But in a way, to me, it seems like it kind of defeats the whole purpose of a cryptocurrency, because the cryptocurrency you're supposed to be able to look at the code, and let's say Bitcoin is there could only be 21 million coins. With Dogecoin, every so many years, X amount are created. But a cryptocurrency has like an aura of trust about it, because you can see what the code says and how how this currency operates, as opposed to the whole point of the U.S. the Federal Reserve creating its own cryptocurrency is to manipulate it. Maybe they're gonna start messing with rates, or they are messing with rates, but at a more macro level. Maybe they're saying, certain people in this city have this type of interest rate, other people in a different city have a different rate. Maybe you get certain people, certain disadvantaged minorities, or whoever, based upon whatever the government's metric. Maybe people who don't own a house or renters are going to get certain deposits or whatever. So it's like it's a central planner's wet dream. And I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I mean, this is way too irresistible, because the whole thing about, we need to, this is just keeping up with the times. The dollar is going to be digital. But the thing is, a lot of the transactions that happen with the US dollar, it's already digital for the most part. And another cool thing would be to actually skip the banks. You create you'll be able to create anybody could create a wallet, and you'd be able to send people or create as many wallets as you want. You could be anonymous and send the currency to whoever you like. But of course, the U.S. banks are very powerful in America, and because there's too many financial interests. They're too powerful, so they can't create a system that's like skipping over them entirely. Then if you have to use a bank to create a digital wallet, then what's the point? That already defeats another point. And the bank is going to have fees, like low balance fees or whatever. It's like how is this improving on the current system itself, other than complete loss of privacy? Because of course, I believe, I'm not a crypto expert, but I think Monero, or there are some cryptocurrencies that are designed with privacy in mind. But of course, they'll never make like a private crypto, because they would use the pretense of, we're going to stop terrorism or money laundering or whatever. So this is like, to me, it's going to have the worst of all worlds. You're still going to have the bloat of the intermediaries of the bank. You are not going to trust it, because the currency is going to be super manipulated. It's going to be politically manipulated. It's going to be unpredictable, because these Federal Reserve chairs are going to be elected or appointed by politicians, and the politicians are going to have their own agendas. So I could see And on top of that, Orwellian too, because let's say they want to incentivize, instead of printing checks and this and that, it's like, that's too costly, it's too time consuming. No, we need, hey, this is a pandemic. COVID-19 is a pandemic. This is an emergency. If you get a booster or if you get a vaccination, we're gonna deposit 500 crypto dollars into your account. But if you don't, we're not gonna do that. Or we're gonna deposit money into your account, but you only have 72 hours to spend it to stimulate the economy or whatever. The imagination can go wild with what they can do, but as I would be okay with it as long as you can have a digital wallet and you can have a wide variety of cryptos, and this is just being like one of them, that if you want, because that way if there's real competition, they can't debase this, or they can't make it that awful enough. But I'm willing to bet once the US comes out with this crypto, they're going to try to or digitally penalize any other cryptocurrency, because you can't just start a currency in the United States that's like competing with the dollar. Well, now that the US has a digital dollar, well, now you can't use the other cryptocurrencies. People still will on the black market, but that's interesting. Who knows? I think so. Let's dive in here. The Federal Reserve has released a long-awaited paper weighing the pros and cons of creating central bank digital currency, CBDC, a digital form of cash in your pocket. The paper, released on Tuesday, cautiously weighted the pros and cons of a digital dollar. It did not take a position whether the central bank should pursue such a project. I'm pretty sure they do have a position and they want to do it. I'm going to bet that, because it's a fun, interesting project for them, and these people that work at the central bank, they're basically they want to manipulate the system. They want to control. So CBDC would differ in some key ways from the online digital payments that millions of Americans already conduct. These transactions are funneled through and between banks, which wouldn't be necessary with a digital dollar. But it looks like you still have to get to create a wallet. You still need a bank institution. But then technically you can send money without the banks to somebody. I mean, is that such a huge leap forward right now? Yes, technically, if you whip out PayPal or Venmo, you do send you can send money like to somebody instantaneously, or Zelle. I don't know how to pronounce it. Instantaneously. Yes, there's a lot of banks and mediators involved, but to the end user, it's almost the same. The only actual benefit I would see if you actually go off, quote unquote, off the grid, is the government not being snooping in your transactions if you're using a real crypto. But this is the government's going to see all the transactions then. Essentially, a CBDC would be a digital token with direct claim on the central bank, in the same way that physical dollars are all Federal Reserve notes held by the bearer. Last year, China began testing its own CBDC, known as the digital RMB, and ECNY, which claims to be cheaper and faster than other forms of payments, allows transactions to take place between two offline devices. It raised concern that the U.S. needs to consider similar moves in order to remain the world's reserve currency. Is it? But could this speed up the demise of the reserve currency if they try something like this? And then it can't. We'll be too tempted to start dialing the knobs, stimulating the economy, but giving individuals X amount of dollars based upon age and demographics. I know it'd be tempting. Through the concept of CBDCs was inspired by cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. The key difference is unlike digital dollar would use distributed ledger technology such as blockchain. The Fed paper tiptoes around the subject that has sparked hot debate inside Fed's top ranks, even as other central banks across the globe are exploring the adoption of digital currencies. The Fed's paper stressed that no final decision about the U.S. digital currency have been reached, but it suggested a digital currency that would be best serve the needs of the nation would follow an intermediate model under which banks or payment firms would create accounts or digital wallets. But what are banks for then? I mean, the only good thing about a bank as opposed to crypto is, hypothetically, if you get your money stolen with a U.S. bank, or somebody hacks your account, or somebody charges you fraudulently, the bank can refund your money, recover your money, like a lot less liability. But with crypto, you don't have that protection. So would this be a crypto where the bank or the Federal Reserve can undo transactions and recover stolen money? The Fed said it would not proceed with creating the CBDC without clear support from executive branch and from Congress, ideally in the form of specific authorizing law. While CBDC could provide safe digital payment options for households and businesses as the payment system continues to evolve, it may result in faster payment options between countries. There also may be downsides. Okay, which are those? Challenges include maintaining financial stability and making sure the digital dollar would complement existing means of payment, the Fed said. The central bank also needs to tackle major policy questions such as ensuring a CBDC does not violate Americans' privacy and that the government maintains its ability to combat illicit finance. I'm going to read between the lines here and say all privacy would be gone. Not only that, but then how about tax monitoring? Would they have it automatically? Like, let's say if you have a business account, that every time you get a payment from a customer, like 20% will automatically go back to the Fed or something. Unlike cryptocurrencies, which are typically run by private sectors, CBDC would be issued and backed by the central bank. It would differ from electronic transactions that would happen through large commercial banks, and it could give consumers direct claim to the central bank, similar to physical cash. About 90 countries are exploring or launching their own CBDCs, according to the Atlantic Council. Widely used digital euro, yuan, dollar may still be years away, but projects could dramatically disrupt the global financial system. Despite steering clear of policy recommendations, the Fed did shed some light on how digital dollar might function. Critically, it said digital dollar would be best suit U.S. needs if it were intermediated through the current financial system. Which actually, I'm sure they're gonna. Oh God, I'm sure they're gonna push their policy through saying, oh well, a lot of minorities are unbanked, so therefore we're gonna give them a free cell phone, and we're gonna give them like this CBDC Fed wallet, and so you're gonna get, your universal basic income. You can get your $2,000 per month deposited into your account. But in a way, I don't understand why. I mean, it's not hard to get a bank account, and for the certain percentage of people that don't want a bank account, well, just because they might just probably in an all cash economy and not paying taxes on their income. So is this what they're trying to is this in the reality what they're trying to do? They're worried about the street food vendor that uses all cash and pays everything cash, and they want to completely outlaw cash, so any kind of transaction between accounts would be noted. Completely kill off the grid, free market cash economy. That means individuals who will not have CBDC accounts could directly with the individuals did not have CBDC account directly with the Fed, an approach backed by some Democrats who say digital currency could help the unbanked. How would they? Now that I think about it, they can even have loans. Let's say like, oh, marginalized people with bad credit and that are chronically unemployed. Oh, they need the payday lenders are ripping them off. This Fed dollar, well, we're going to give them Fed loans with like a low interest rate or something. Wow, that's interesting. That would be kind of a game changer. Banks worry that such an approach would eat into their deposit base. Yeah, I'd say. Still, Fed officials say they're not ruling anything out. The central bank will collect comments on the issue via online form for 120 days. Thursday's paper, separate from research the Boston Fed has been working on with Massachusetts Institute of Technology to explore the technological aspects of CBDC. That research includes coding that could be used for potential U.S. CBDC that will be released as early as next month. Could it be in conjunction with your social credit score? You propagated COVID misinformation. You will be deducted $100 every month. The paper partially echoed the views of Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who said such a project must have broad support and ideally be mandated by Congress. Basically, I have some other governor saying, Fed Governor Christopher Waller, he's saying skeptical and point out that many dollar transactions are already digital. So what's the whole point? What's the whole point of this Fed coin? The dollar is already digital, yes. And people, anybody who wants with two brain cells, if anybody who wants a bank account, they can get a bank account. You might have bad credit. You might be able not to be able to get a credit card, but if you put some kind of any kind of basic deposit or prepaid or whatever, anybody can get a bank account. Nobody's prevented from getting a bank account. Some people just don't, quote unquote, trust the system. And then you're still gonna have the banks, the actual physical or legacy banks around, and you're still gonna have the dollar manipulation. So I don't, aside from something be like, oh, this is neat, I could send money from one person to the other without a bank, even though that wouldn't matter because it would still be on the Federal Reserve ledger. So the only point would be just downsides. And the downside would be your freedom to use other crypto would be curtailed and complete loss of privacy.